Parenting is the ultimate endurance event, and December might just be the toughest lap. Between Christmas concerts, last-minute shopping, end-of-term chaos, and family expectations, you're always needed, often sleep-deprived, and rarely fully recharged. If you're a parent running on caffeine and fumes this month, then this episode is for you. You love your kids, but love doesn't always equal high energy. And at this time of year, no one talks about the real toll December takes on parents' health. Most energy advice ignores the relentless demands of family life, especially when the holidays turn up the dial, but this episode doesn't ignore those things. Today, I'll break down why parenting drains your energy and 3 ways you can start to refill your tank before the year is out. If this resonates, follow the show and share it with another knackered parent who needs that December boost. What a nice little Christmas gift. Energy isn't just physical. It's emotional and cognitive too. So let's connect over what we're really facing as parents when it comes to our day-to-day energy. We want to look at the 3 big energy drains that come associated with parenting. First off, we have that physical energy drain. We've got the broken sleep. We've got that constantly on watch feeling. We've got that lack of movement, lack of meal planning, suddenly the erosion of our hobbies. These are very clear physical barriers to how much energy we had versus how much energy we can now access. Beyond the physical, our second area is emotional. A huge benefit in looking after a child, but also many things that challenge our energy. Worry for everything. Fear for the future. Fear of being good enough. A change in your relationship status. These are all big impacts on your energy levels. After physical and emotional, we have cognitive or mental fatigue. We've got decision fatigue. Suddenly you're making decisions for multiple people, not just yourself. That volume of mental load, that constant switching between the old world of selfishness and this new world of endless selflessness. No wonder you're tired. You're challenging 3 separate systems of energy all at once with no shutdown, no logging off. So let's think about some of the myths around energy, because this isn't about doing more. Let's talk about the advice we always get when we see tired parents. You just need more sleep. Try meditating every morning. Go out for a run. Exercise will sort you out. And don't get me wrong, I love all those things. And all of those things can help enormously with energy. But we must also be real. If you're in the thick of parenting, you've probably already tried to sleep. You are trying to move and find exercise. You're trying to find time for yourself. And more often than not, you'll be struggling and failing. You might start to believe that you'll get round to resting when everything is done, when it's all boxed off, especially when it's Christmas and that to-do list is full. There's the Christmas wrapping, the grocery shopping, the planning for guests. Let's be real again. That list is never ending. It never all gets done. We need to shift the conversation because you don't need, nor can you afford a massive lifestyle overhaul to get you feeling better. What we do need to think about is micro replenishment. I love that phrase. Micro replenishment. Small but meaningful top-ups of energy throughout your day. Tiny shifts that fit into your actual life. This is where the real magic happens. You need all these things, but like the baby steps of a child, you don't need all of them in full dosage all at once. You need to begin where you are, and any step that brings more energy is of high value, even if it's not a complete package. I want to share with you 3 of the tools that I believe you can incorporate into your daily routine to help gain back some of the energy that you're losing and some of that energy that we're craving. One of the previous energy equation episodes that really stuck with me was when Stacey Solomon joined us on the pod. I'm good friends with Stacey. She's a dream. And it was fascinating to dive into her data and learn about her health. Now here is someone with 5 kids. 5. And yet, she shows up with this contagious, happy-go-lucky mindset. She's not pretending this is easy. In fact, she's very aware that these are some of the hardest years. But instead of resisting the chaos, she's decided to lean into it. Stacey talked about how important it is to not take life or yourself too seriously.
The easiest way for me to parent is to let them be who they're going to be. I think for a long time with Zachary, I had him so young, I felt that I needed to turn him into something. That was my job, was to like mould him into something. And where that may be true to a certain extent, actually, what I realised as he's got older is that they're going to be who they're going to be. And letting them be who they're going to be is the real joy of parenting, and finding out who they are. And they were always going to be that person.
That mindset shift alone can free up a surprising amount of energy. She's not clinging to perfection or trying to control every moment. And I think there's a real power in that. Stacey's made peace with the madness. And in doing so, she's created a kind of mental resilience that actually fuels her. And it's a reminder that sometimes energy comes not from doing less, but from thinking differently about what you are doing. Another moment that really brought this to life was when we had the fantastic Louise Minchin on the show. Louise is a seasoned endurance athlete. She's a former BBC presenter and someone who knows discipline and structure better than most of us. But even with all that training, all that awareness, her parental instinct still overrode everything. When we looked at Louise's sleep data, and it was fascinating, and actually quite emotional, it showed clear disruption on the nights when her child was out on the town. Even if Louise was settled in bed, her body didn't fully settle. She couldn't drop into deep sleep because part of her was waiting, holding space, subconsciously tracking whether her daughter was home safe or not. In that sort of scenario, you'd say, look, when we see people with young children, we see that pattern because they're listening. They're like,
I know there was one night there. I know exactly what happened. I should find out which night it was, where one of my daughters texted me at 11. I was asleep and texted me at 10 to midnight.
Okay, that's an absolute disaster.
I knew, yeah, and it will 100% be there.
And they sort of say, again,
because she texted me, your children not texting you at 10 to midnight with something that's great, are they?
No, exactly right. And it's one where if you believe that there's something you need to fix or solve or be available to, you have this sort of sense of I'm slightly physiologically alert. Okay. I hear the key turn in the door. I hear someone pull into the drive. If you go to deep sleep, which is the richest form of energy restoration, you are oblivious to the world. It's this powerful reminder that parenting doesn't switch off, even when the lights do. And energy isn't just about what you do, it's also about what you carry emotionally. Here's a 60-second thought. We often think of energy as something we can add: more coffee, better nutrition, another workout. But the truth is, you can't create energy without recovery. And recovery starts with sleep. Sleep is one of the biggest drivers of your energy system. It's when your body restores cells, balances hormones, and resets your nervous system. Without quality sleep, everything from focus to motivation and physical performance starts to dip. That's why Simba have focused on the science of sleep. Using data from over 10 million sleepers, they've engineered mattresses and bedding designed to help you recover properly. Their hybrid mattresses combine AeroCoil springs and Simbatex foam to support your body, keep you cool, and reduce partner movement. Simba have won over 100 sleep awards, including 6 Which Best Buys, and they offer a 200-night trial, a 10-year guarantee, and next-day delivery. Head to simbasleep.com/energy equation to see how Simba can help you power up through better sleep. I've spent years helping people understand what really fuels their energy. And when it comes to daily nutrition, Vitals by Heights is where I start. Most of us still fall short on those key nutrients that support energy, focus, and mood. And that's where Vitals comes in. This is what a modern multivitamin should be. It's advanced, it's absorbable, and it's actually effective. It includes not just the basics, but 20 essential nutrients, including omega-3s and B vitamins, which are vital for brain health and energy metabolism. What sets it apart and why I love it is the science. It's formulated by doctors and dietitians, and it's backed by thousands of studies. It's clinically proven to work. It's built for long-term impact, not just short-term spikes. And as someone who reads the research and feels the results, I believe deeply in this. In fact, I believe in this product so much, I've joined the Heights team as their Chief Energy Officer because I believe they're setting a new standard in supplementation. If you're ready to kickstart your energy journey, start with Vitals. Get 20% off your first month at heights.com/EE or use the code EE20 at checkout. What we see time and time again is how children shape the results of our guests. When we check the DNA, the genetic material of our guests, we look to see whether they're naturally wired as more of a morning lark or a night owl. That chronobiology lies within our genetics. But the moment a child arrives, it doesn't matter. That rhythm that you've settled into for years often goes out of the window. Suddenly, you're no longer the one setting your sleep and wake cycles. Ben Aldis currently sits at the top of our energy equation leaderboard. But with his baby immediately due, we have no doubt that will change as his routines are challenged on every level.
We know that it's going to be a massive life change. It is our first child, so we're open to whatever comes our way. But I think what we have been doing across the last few years is slowly getting ourselves to really try and optimize and understand the tools that we have available to ourselves. So when that does happen, we then have a toolkit of things that we can try and tap into.
Energy isn't just physical, it's emotional and cognitive too. So let's connect over what we're really facing as parents when it comes to our day-to-day energy. I'm super excited for Ben and Leanne as they have this baby and get a rich source of emotional energy. But that sleep routine, those self-care routines will be challenged, and they need to be careful they don't fall into the trap of not putting some of their energy first. Tool number 1, micro rest. Not just sleep, micro rest. The idea here is that 3 minutes of genuine decompression could do more for your energy than scrolling and wasting time for 30, 45 minutes or so. This is about quality restoration. The phrase non-sleep deep rest is actually a concept popularized by the neuroscientist Dr. Andrew Huberman. And it can be as little time as you have, but the science is showing there's a sweet spot somewhere between 10 and 27 minutes. Now, non-sleep deep rest means what it means. Don't go to sleep. But instead, we're using breathing or guided visualizations, me picturing different scenarios, or using techniques like body scanning, where I pause and just notice my body. My feet are on the floor, my hands, I'm wiggling my fingers. But these techniques all allow my biological systems to calm down, to slow down. And these small pockets of rest we are seeing have a huge impact on energy and increasingly on health. The logic to these techniques is we stay deliberately away from sleep. We might go into what people think is sleep or the lighter stages of sleep, what we call stage 1 or stage 2 sleep, but we don't go into deeper sleep. And that's why we don't wake up groggy. What happens when we go into this non-sleep deep rest is we clear away some of the molecules that accumulate in your brain that give you the sensation of fatigue, and that gives you a natural energy lift. So non-sleep deep rest for the win. 3 minutes we'd love, but if it's 10 to 27 minutes, that's a fantastic sweet spot. Tool number 2, morning movement buys you energy for the day. We've spoken about morning movement frequently because it's brilliant. We're pulling back here again to circadian biology, the fact that your body's got a 24-hour clock in every cell of your body. Circadian meaning about a day. And that biological clock loves 2 things. It loves daylight early in the morning and movement. If you get some morning movement in daylight, you are taking an energy pill. We must remember the human machine needs to expend energy to receive it. That's very different to every other machine on the planet. And that combination of natural light plus some basic daily movement will generate more energy for you than you can create in almost any other way through any other pill or idea you might have. A fixed daily walk with a pram is brilliant. Or can you make part of that nursery or family drop-off driven by movement and steps? This should be fixed as the energy boost that sets the tone for the rest of the day. Now, a top tip for this time of year in particular is if you feel a little sluggish, as I do, after a Christmas meal or any of these heavy meals during this period of life, why not go out for a family walk? Now, some of you hopefully do that, but there's real science to going for that small walk after a meal to boost your energy. We often track our steps, our sleep, our screen time when we're looking at our health, but we almost never check what's going on inside our body. And that's what got me hooked on Stride One. It's not just another health test, it's a full system. It's DNA, it's gut microbiome, it's blood biomarkers, all connected to one platform. Because far too often, we test a marker and maybe we'll make some changes, but we don't come back to retest to see what worked. And even if we did retest, we might be missing key other markers that interact by not looking at the whole picture across bloods, DNA, and gut health. For me and many of my clients, Stride One gives answers I'd never seen before. You even get a biological age from real blood data, and you can see how that age changes over time. Every 6 months, they retest you. You speak to a dedicated health expert for a full consultation every 3 months, and they actually explain what's going on, not just drop data on you. It's proactive, personalized, and became a core part of how I understand my energy and manage my life. And if you want to run the exact same tests that we use on our guests, you can do that by heading to getstride.com/energy, or just check the link in the description. Tool number 3, can we draw up the drawbridge? We can often say parents are last on their own priority list. We just need to think about how we change that a little bit. Can you give yourself a mini script that says to yourself, I'm worthy of the time to build my energy? And that's not selfish, that ultimately is selfless. This isn't the time for non-essential energy expenditure. Do you really have to make that trip to a friend's? Do you have the capacity to ring that relative? Can you really still be a part of all the things and commitments that you want to be at this time of year? Arguably not. You can't have it all. You can have more of less or less of more. Energy is not infinite. It is finite. You can't get back some of these early years of your children's life. So pull up the drawbridge from things you don't have to do so you can drive your energy into things you do want to do. And ultimately, looking after you helps you show up for them. That's the reality of drawing up the drawbridge. Where do we go with this? What's something you can try? Well, I would love you to think about 3 lots of just 5 minutes micro resetting this week. That is 15 minutes total. That is very little time. But if you can truly do something in the middle of the day or at a period of time that suits you for 5 minutes, where you introspect on your body, you body scan, you slow your breathing, you use non-sleep deep rest, I want you to notice what shifts in your energy. Without the cost of time, you will find a reward of some energy. I'd like you also to think about forwarding this episode to the most exhausted parent you know, or even your partner. Give this micro rest challenge a go and let me know if you feel a benefit or they feel a benefit. I hope so. Parenting is one of the most meaningful things you'll ever do. It's the greatest privilege of my life. But you can't show up if you are running on empty, and this time of year is busy. You do need to think, can you prioritize you and your energy under the constraints you face? Parenting is the most demanding job we never trained for, but your energy matters and you're not selfish for protecting it. It's the most selfless thing you will do. Now it's time for community questions.
I want my kids to have the most energy on Christmas Day. Do you have a recommended bedtime and morning time?
The Christmas Day conundrum. The great challenge is the body from an energy point of view loves routine. It loves routine. So the challenge is, ideally, whatever day it is, you go to bed at a pretty similar time, you wake up at a pretty similar time. The reality of children and Christmas Eve is they probably want to stay up to see Santa's sledge, which can be seen if it's a clear evening, and they want to disrupt that time. I think the best way to maximize energy is to try and have them wake up at the standard time. So go to bed late, that's fine, the body can manage that. But waking up at a similar time on every day, even Christmas Day, will ironically, as much as it sounds counterintuitive, bring more energy than letting them lie in, again, 2 hours or 3 hours. And the reality is they're unlikely to be lying in. They want to get up and see the prezzies. But the more you keep that consistency, the better we are. And again, avoiding late night snacking on chocolates on Christmas Eve. That's quite important to keep blood glucose stable during the night, which can muck about with your sleep a little bit. So yes, go to bed late, try and wake up at standard time. Don't have too much chocky the night before. And those things are hopefully going to get you through. But they'll feel great on Christmas Day anyway, because it's the most exciting day of the year.
I really struggle to eat well over the Christmas period, particularly on Christmas Day, because there's so much food knocking about. How do you recommend I approach this so I don't get the after dinner slump? And what should I be encouraging my children to be at Christmas?
It's a good question. I think we also have to take a step back and go, don't worry too much about it, right? I'm not the guy who wants you counting calories on Christmas Day. In fact, I don't want you counting calories at any point in your life. The reality is here, the body is built for periods where you don't get this right, and there will be periods of overconsumption, and that's totally fine. So creating too tight a net over Christmas would be a disaster. I think when we have this big consumption of energy-dense meals a la Christmas meal, the greatest solution is something you hopefully do anyway, which is go for a walk within that period post-consumption. It has an amazing impact on the way that food interfaces with the cells of your body. It's energy restorative. It's a fantastic way for bonding, side-by-side connection with those family loved ones. It's a brilliant thing to do. I think if we start to restrict many of the joys of Christmas, worried about the well-being impact, we lose the sense of this season. So I would lean into the fact that the rest of the time around Christmas, you're going to be diligent with your food, you're going to be getting a good balance. But this period, I wouldn't worry too much about it. Just go for a walk after the meal, and that's a good place to start. Energy is everything. And every week on the Energy Equation, we'll give you the tools to boost yours. Tap follow now and join the community learning how to eat, sleep, and live for more energy. Now, back to the episode. If you are really keen to not lose all that progress you've made the rest of the year, then what we've got with most Christmas meals is they're actually quite nutrient dense. If we take Christmas dinner itself, there's an extraordinary diversity of vegetables. If those vegetables aren't overcooked, if you increase the portion of vegetables on the plate and reduce the processed meats, or again, elements that have got a slightly higher calorific intake, that's a brilliant way to go about things. The leftovers in terms of lean cuts, again, with a baked potato or some traditional meals, they're fantastic. The real challenge around Christmas consumption would be confectionery, chocolate, sweets, excessive alcohol, and those are really easy and visibly dialed up or dialed down. So if you don't want to lose the progress in terms of athleticism, in terms of body composition, then lean into the vegetables, decrease the unwanted ultra-processed snacks, and keep that walk. It's absolutely critical.
I'm a new parent. People have told me to rest when the baby rests, but I struggle to nap as I have things I want to be getting on with. Do you have any advice?
It's a great challenge. It's a classic bit of advice. Rest when the baby rests, sleep when the baby sleeps. If you're not a natural napper and you are using that time to be efficient, that's totally understandable. The question there is, have you got good energy? I don't think we need to force a routine that isn't required. But something we've spoken about in previous episodes, these non-sleep deep rests. It could be 3 minutes of just listening to your body. It could be 3 minutes off a screen. It could be 5 minutes just breathing casually through your nose, just letting your tummy rise and fall on each breath. These micro resets are unbelievably valuable. And if you've got a 20-minute nap or a 30-minute nap, to take 5 minutes of that to do something that really brings you a sense of stillness would be a good investment. And again, these periods of time, the more we can be outside in nature, doing things that are slightly low-level physical activity, that is brilliant. Life doesn't stop. You've got to do the logistics. We get that. But small pockets of time, chiseled out of those breaks would be a really good investment. If you're not feeling it now, certainly they'll benefit over the coming weeks and months.
I find over Christmas I have the more opportunities to have a drink, but I know that it affects my energy levels so much. Do you have any advice on how I can tackle this?
We have this question a lot because it's booze season. You know, there's an awful lot of social events. There's generally the Christmas party. There'll be social gatherings with friends and family, and alcohol levels go up significantly. The thing with alcohol, we have to remember, it is a social lubricant. Lots of people have fantastic times in the company of alcohol with friends and loved ones, but it slaughters sleep. And I use slaughtered as the right word. It really disrupts sleep quality. And we have this challenge of regular late nights with alcohol in a period of time where there's an awful lot of viruses going around. And we see lots of people get unwell in December pre-Christmas because they've weakened their immune system at a time when we're in, again, heated environments, close proximity, and we don't want that Christmas cold or flu. The reality to alcohol is we've got to see it as it will ultimately rob you of energy over the next day and maybe the day after, and it might slightly weaken your immune system. So when not to consume alcohol is when you're tired and stressed or feeling a little bit run down. In those situations, alcohol might compound a problem and make you feel unwell in a situation where you want to be feeling the best you've ever felt. So just be cautious to use alcohol when you're energized and feeling good. And in those situations, use it judiciously as you normally would, I'm sure. But try to avoid it if you're tired and feeling that little tingle at the back of the throat, or you're just feeling a bit achy. In those situations, you desperately need sleep to do what it does in building your immune system. And having one night off the booze might mean you're better equipped for the second night or the third night, but don't blow it by drinking on a night you can't afford it.
Morning walks sound dreamy, but what if I'm not a morning person? Does it still work if I get sunlight and movement later in the day?
That's a great question. I suppose your day starts when your day starts. So what we're interested in is your version of a morning. So from the point you wake up, can you get some daily activity and you get some sunshine? If that's 2 hours after the rest of the world's woken up, as long as you can manage that from a societal point of view, I'm all in for it. We're really designed to work with the seasons. So, we are designed to wake up close to dawn and go to sleep, a couple of hours after dusk. But in the modern world, no one really cares about dawn and dusk. We care about working schedules, international clocks. But the closer you, against your standardized waking time, can encounter some natural sunlight and some low-level movement, the better chance you've got of really setting the energy cadence for the rest of the day. And that will ripple into your quality and depth of sleep all those hours later on, just for that simple first hour of the day. So see if there's a way to do it. If you can't do it, don't worry. But if you can, it could be a really good win. Please do give us a follow so you don't miss next week's episode. And we'll see you next time on The Energy Equation.